Last job that day was moving a projector from a biolab on the second floor back down to the AV room. He had stepped into the elevator and turned a key to close the door when someone called out asking him to hold the door. A moment later, Josie Cormier hobbled inside. She was on crutches, sporting an air cast. She glanced at Peter as the doors of the elevator closed and then quickly down at the linoleum floor. Although it had been months since she'd gotten him fired, Peter had still felt a flash of anger when he saw Josie. He could practically hear Josie ticking off the seconds in her head until the elevator doors opened again. "Well, I'm not thrilled being stuck in here with you either," he thought to himself, and just then the elevator bobbled and screeched to a halt.
What's wrong with it?
Josie punched at the first floor button.
That's not going to do anything.
He reached across her, noticing that she had nearly lost her balance trying to lean back as if he had a communicable disease, and pushed the red emergency button. Nothing happened.
This sucks.
He stared up at the roof of the elevator. In movies, action heroes had always climbed up the air ducts into the elevator shaft, but even if he stood on top of the projector, he didn't see how he could get the hatch open without a screwdriver. Josie punched at the button again.
Hello?
No one's going to hear you. The teachers are all gone, and the custodian watches Oprah from 5 to 6 in the basement. What are you doing here anyway?
An independent study.
What's that?
It's what you do for credit when you can't play gym. What were you doing here?
I work here now.
Logistically, Peter thought they had been found sooner or later. The custodian would probably discover them when he was moving his floor buffer upstairs, but if not, the longest they'd have to wait was until morning when everybody arrived again. He smiled a little, thinking about what he could tell truthfully to Derek. "Guess what? I slept with Josie Cormier."
How long before they find us?
I don't know.
Won't the librarians notice if you don't come back?
My own parents wouldn't notice if I didn't come back.
Oh God, what if we run out of air?
Josie banged on the doors with a crutch.
Help!
We're not going to run out of air.
How do you know that?
He didn't, not really, but what else was he going to say?
I get freaked out in small places. I can't do this.
You're claustrophobic?
He wondered how he hadn't known that about Josie. But then again, why should he? It wasn't as though he'd been such an active part of her life for the past 6 years.
I think I'm going to throw up.
Oh snap. Don't. Just close your eyes. Then you won't even realize you're in an elevator.
Peter took her crutches away so that she was balancing on one foot. Then he held her to her hands for a while, and she sank to the floor, extending her bad leg.
How'd you get hurt?
I fell on some ice.
She started to cry and gasp, hyperventilate. Peter guessed, although he'd only seen the word written, not live. "You were supposed to breathe into a paper bag, right?" Peter searched the elevator for something that would suffice. There was a plastic bag with some documents in it in the AV trolley, but somehow putting that on your head didn't seem particularly brilliant.
Okay, let's do something to get your mind off where you are.
Like what?
Maybe we should play a game.
Peter suggested, and he heard the same words repeated in his head. Kirk's voice from the...
We should play a game.
Peter suggested, and he had heard the same words repeated in his head. Kurt's voice from the front runner. He shook his head to clear it.
20 questions?
Animal, vegetable, or mineral?
After 6 rounds of 20 questions and an hour of geography, Peter was getting thirsty. He also had to pee, and that was really troubling him because he didn't think he could last until morning, and there was absolutely no way he was going to take a whiz with Josie watching. Josie had gone quiet, but at least she'd stopped shaking. He thought she might be asleep.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
Do you hate me?
Sometimes.
You should.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
Do you hate me?
No.
Then why do you act like you do?
I have to act the way people expect me to act. It's part of the whole thing. If I don't, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand.
Truth or dare?
Dare.
Lick the bottom of your own foot.
I can't even walk on the bottom of my own foot. Truth or dare?
Truth.
Chicken. Have you ever been in love?
Peter looked at Josie and thought of how they had once tied a note with their addresses to a helium balloon and let it go in her backyard, certain it would reach Mars. Instead, they had received a letter from a widow who lived 2 blocks away.
Yeah, I think so.
With who?
That wasn't the question. Truth or dare?
Truth.
What's the last lie you told?
When I told you I slipped on the ice, Matt and I were having a fight, and he hit me.
He hit you?
It wasn't like that. I said something I shouldn't have, and I lost my balance. Anyway, and hurt my ankle.
Josie!
No one knows. You won't tell, will you?
No. Why didn't you tell anyone?
That wasn't the question.
I'm asking it now.
Then I'll take a dare.
Peter curled his hands into his fists at his sides.
Kiss me.